What's going on, y'all? Scott LaRock Jr. It's another episode of Blunt Conversations. I got a legend with me today, Uncle Ralph.
What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Good to see you, man.
Pleasure. I appreciate your time, man, for real. I ain't even gonna take too much of it. Like, I know you're busy, so I definitely appreciate you taking some time out for me.
No problem. Come on, man.
Definitely. I know you got probably stories you can tell me I don't know about my dad, so many you have, I'd like to hear. So maybe we can start there. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what's funny is that I never met your dad. I mean, I met him, but we never had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'll tell you this story. We used to play the Bridge Is Over video on Video Music Box.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll tell you a story about the Bridge Is Over video. So there was this lady, a young lady, who called me one day and said to me, I shot this video for Boogie Down Productions called The Bridge Is Over. So the record was already hot, in the street. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. And she's like, I shot it, but, I don't know how to edit it. I don't know what to do with the footage. And I said, okay. So I said, well, the record company, should be able to, help you with that. And so she was like, no, the record company, they're trying to just take my footage and not give me the credit for it. And so I want to do it on my own, and I said, okay. So I told her the place to go. There was this place in Manhattan that, you could get like a video, because everything was shot in film back then. So it was a little bit more like difficult than something being shot on on your phone or regular video camera. It was a little bit more expensive, but there was this place where you could go called Hello Kitty. And it was like a cheap place to do videos. And so she could get it transferred and she could get the footage done. So I gave her the address. She went to Hello Kitty. She said, I got it transferred. And now I need to get it edited. And I think I told her a person that could help her out with the editing and how it works, how to edit a video. Because at that time I was directing and shooting a lot of videos. And so she went and got it done. And she came to me. I said, all I ask is that I get it first when you finish it, because it's a hot song. And so I was the first person to have the video and play it on TV for a long time, because she was the only person that had it. It's not like the record company had it. I don't even know if your dad, had it. I think it was just me and that was it, and there was no YouTube back then or anything else. It was just, you played it on Video Music Box, and we played it like, all the time. And I remember the record company calling me and saying, hey, we need a copy of that. And I said, well, I don't have it. You have to speak to this girl. But she said that you guys might owe her some money, so I'm trying to advocate for her to get her bread. Mm-hmm. And so, they were surprised that I knew that. They were like, oh, how does he know that? So I think eventually, she gave it to them, and hopefully she got her bread. And then years later, I was working at Hot 97, and somebody I can't remember the person's name, from the label said, hey, Ralph, this is such and such from B-Boy Records. Do you still have a copy of that video? Mm-hmm. And, so I always remember the fact, like, I'm an advocate for people getting their bread, right? You owe somebody money, like, pay them. And so I said, look, the girl, I can't remember her name, but did you guys ever pay her for that? And they were like, yeah. We took care of her. Da, da, da. It sounded like, like a quick answer. And so I said, well, I'll see if I can find it, And but I never gave it to them. But it was interesting that how that all played out. And I didn't really know the politics of B-Boy Records at that time. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything. I just knew that there was this young lady who seemed to be passionate about wanting to be a filmmaker and had worked with your dad and Chris and D Nice, and and she just was trying to get be a director, and that was it, But that's one of my, I can remember that clearly. That one of my stories about Boogie Down Productions.
So I want to talk about the video music. just where it started from. Because I read something and it said that it started out under another name.
Yeah.
Studio 31.
Yeah. So when I first started working at the TV station, I was an engineer. I wasn't a producer of videos or music videos or host or anything like that. I just was like a camera guy. I did lighting, things like that. And I was sitting, one day, and these tapes came in, and they were like videos of artists performing. They weren't like music videos like we know now, like where there's an idea, a concept, and and a story or anything like that. It was just them performing in the studio with 3 cameras, and the cameras were cutting to each other, like almost like watching a TV show. And so that's what the early music videos kind of looked like, if you want to call it a music video. And so they would, I'd never seen these things before. So I was like, yo, this would be kind of crazy. Like, I know my people on my block would like to see something like this. I'm pretty sure there's other people that would like to see that. And they weren't really made to go on TV, what they were sending out. They were made to just like publicity, to show, a TV station person or somebody from a magazine what the group looked like performing. That's the only purpose was for that. It wasn't never to go on TV. And so I said, well, what about if we played it on TV, And they were like, well, you could, but that's not why we sent it to you. It's just for people to look at it and get an idea of what the group looks like if y'all want to book them for something, So I sat around with it and I played around with the tapes and I edited it and I gave it to the program director. Mind you, I'm not a producer of stuff at that time, I'm an engineer. And they took it and they said, yeah, we're going to come up with an idea. It's called Studio 31 Dance Party. And I was like, but that's, my idea, like I'm the one who said, let's do it. And I wasn't included in it. So I was like, all right, so I got to be the voice of that then, And so I was the voice of it. And it was on for like maybe 6 months. It was called Studio 31 Dance Party. And then after about 6 months, I turned it into a Video Music Box, and that's when it became, Video Music Box, and that was in 1983. So it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I wasn't even here in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wasn't even here yet. So you worked on the movie Juice too.
Yeah. So that all came from Video Music Box as well. So, like I was doing videos, I was producing my show Video Music Box. And a girl that worked with me, she worked on a couple of movies, and she called me and she said, Ralph, these people really need your help. They're working on this film. It's called Juice. And, they're trying to get in contact with some of the artists, some of the celebrities, and they can't because nobody's calling them back. And you have a relationship with all these people, so can you come to the office and meet with them? So I went to the office in somewhere in Midtown. And they were just sitting there and they were like, nobody's calling us back. We're trying to get this person, that person. And I said, well, the problem is that, we don't really trust Hollywood, because y'all be ripping off our culture and, people don't, have no trust in y'all. We've seen it happen before. So, like what's you got to, if I'm going to ask somebody, I got to have belief that they're going to get paid. Everything's going to get taken care of, paperwork, whatever. Right. People can become part of the SAG, and all of that union and all of that kind of thing, like y'all do everybody else. And so they were like, nah, we guarantee that. So I said, okay. So I started reaching out to people, and like Queen Latifah, she was like, well, Ralph, if you down with it, I'm gonna come check it out. So we set up an appointment for her, and that brought Tretch and some others. And then everybody started coming on board. The Bomb Squad did the soundtrack. I got in contact with them. They was hot at the time for all the Public Enemy stuff they had done. Anybody, Red Alert, all the DJs that I knew from the clubs, people that I knew that wanted to be in films that were doing music videos with me. I'm like, yo, we're gonna there's a movie going on. Y'all need to show up. And then the only person that was booked that the Hollywood people came with was TuPac. He was the only person that they had. And they said, we have TuPac. And I didn't know Pac. I knew him from Digital Underground, but I didn't know him like that. But he knew who I was because he had been in New York and been moving around and doing stuff. And so, he was like, yo, man, yo, I want to go hang out in New York. So we took him to Brooklyn. We hung out, at parties, and he was just getting, once he got there, he was doing his thing. He was comfortable. And I remember that Diddy called me, because at the same time we were doing Juice, there was this other movie called Unfinished Business.
Mm-hmm.
And Unfinished Business starred Halle Berry. And I think it's Unfinished Business. And Halle, they were shooting it at the same time. And everybody was like, "Oh man, Halle Berry's hot." I didn't know who Halle Berry was. So they were like, "Yeah, this is happening." And Uptown Records had the soundtrack for that. So that was Andre Harrell, rest in peace. And Andre was like, doing this movie at the same time we're doing Juice. Diddy was working on the movie because, of course, that's Andre's, protege, and he gets fired from the movie for punching a union member, like a main dude, and so he wasn't allowed to go on the set no more of the movie. And so he called me up and said, "Yo, Ralph, man, I know you're working on that Juice thing. I saw the script. I need to be Bishop. That's me. I'm uptown. I'm in Harlem. That's me all day. That script is made for me, and that's the role that TuPac has." I said, "Yo, dude, the only role that they have booked is that role, is Bishop, and that's TuPac." And he's like, "Nah, son, that's me. That's me. I'm telling you, that's me." So I said, "Look, I'm gonna go and see, but I'm pretty sure that that's not gonna happen." So I went to the producers. I said, "Yo, I was talking to Diddy, Puffy at the time, and they were like, 'Oh no, we can't have Puffy on this set. He punched a union man.' He's like, 'We can never have him over here.' Whoa, no, ooh, Ralph, are you crazy? Do you know what that would be? That would be a problem." I said, "Oh God." Now, I didn't know that he had punched until they told me that he had punched the dude. So I said, "Yo, bro, did you punch somebody on set?" And he was like, "Yeah, but that was nothing. That was nonsense." "No, it's a big thing. Everybody knows about that." Everybody knows about that. So he was like, "Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool." I said, "Nah, they're not taking no chances. They don't want no problem with the union." So he was like, all right. I said, "Maybe it's another role." But they didn't want him on the set, nowhere near the set. I was trying to, maybe we can get him something else, but they were like, "Nah, Ralph, we can't do that." So I just said, "All right." But that's my Juice story. Yeah.
So you didn't have like an on-set like part in that or anything like that? Like you didn't work directly with the cast or?
Yeah, no, I worked with the cast too. I was in it. I called up, there's the DJ scene. Originally they wanted me to be like a consultant, but like I started looking at the back of credits and I was like, they ain't got no consultant on here. Y'all gotta make me some kind of producer or something, So right. I'm an associate producer on it. Me and Fab Five Freddy are associate producers on it, and also, we helped out with the casting and the script, because the script was written like maybe 6 years before it got greenlit. And so some of the sayings were old by the time that the movie was ready to come out. And I was like, they might have said that in 1987, but they're not saying that in 1992. So we got to change the words up. So it's when the movie finally hits, it's up to date with the lingo. And so I helped them out with that. But overall, I think it was like a learning experience for me. I probably should have got more credit, but it was a learning experience for me because that was the first movie I ever worked on. So I didn't know, but I learned a lot from being on the set, and being there and and working with Ernest Dickerson, who that was his first time directing a movie. He was a cameraman before that, and so it was new for everybody. Omar Epps, he used to sing for me in the basement, because he had a group at the time. He had an R&B group, and he was a rapper, and he wanted to be on the soundtrack. So he used to come down to the bathroom, because it sounds great in the bathroom. He'd be singing there with his Yeah, it was crazy. It was, that was the beginning. I mean, it wasn't the beginning, but that was a pivotal part of, that new group of entertainers from Omar to Latifah to Diddy. They were making the transition into doing other things, and the music business was putting money into it, and the film business was putting money into it. So they came off. Me and my partner Lionel, who were directing all these videos, and the reason why I even got there was because of the history that we had. with making videos. Like we did all of the Big Daddy Kane videos, we did G-Raps videos, we did Biz Marquis videos, we did Public Enemies videos, we did all these videos for all these artists and made it look different. You know, like we was like the #1 production company for doing videos. I feel like we kind of set it up so that it was, by the time it hit in 1991, 92, the movie business just all they had to do is watch the music videos that we had been doing and could just pick up on it and just do it on a bigger scale. So I feel like we were the pioneers of, you know, kind of setting it up, and then it kind of took off from there. And more movies were being made, more TV shows were including hip hop artists.
Makes sense. So you directed the first Nas video. It ain't hard to tell.
Yes.
Nas my favorite rapper, so you gotta let me know what that experience was like. You know what I mean?
Look, congratulations to him for getting a Grammy, the first Grammy. I didn't realize it was his first Grammy.
Long overdue.
Yeah, man. I was like, that's his first.
How do you feel about the Grammys as a whole? Not to get off subject, but like, are you a fan of it?
Not really. No, I've never been. I understand, you know, why they have it. Any kind of award show, it's always some trickiness and some money and politics behind something. Excuse me, I have a little cold today, but I'm not really a fan of it. You know, it's never been totally inclusive of what we do. And it's been biased to other, you know, groups and other musics. You know, it is what it is. But, you know, I think it's important that, you know, for him that he got it, you know, at this stage of his career. I'm pretty sure after all these years, it's not like he was, if he didn't get it, it wasn't no big deal to him. Yeah. But Nas is a pure kid from the street, you know, like he was just like, when I met him, you know, I've seen him perform and do stuff, you know, and at that time, like Queensbridge was like on the come up, like they knew they had something with Nas. And so, you know, like they were showing up at the parties like 40 deep, you know, and it was like in the middle was Nas, you know, and they would, you know, it was a ruckus every time Queensbridge showed up, you know. And so me and Red used to laugh about it. Me, Red, and at the time DJ Clark Kent, we'd be like, oh, party's about to be over. Here come Queensbridge. And you know, we saw it was going to be an issue because, you know, they were like, you know, this is the one. Nas is the one. And so the record company got in contact with me to do this thing called the Illmatic EPK, which is like electronic press kit that you send out to people to look and find out about the artists and the producers and all of that kind of stuff. So I produced that, and I did that at Sony Studios. So it interviewed like Q-Tip, Pete Rock, Large Professor, Premier, LES, anybody that was a producer on that album, and Nas. And we went to the bridge. I met his mom. I met Jungle, his brother. You know, we hung out in the bridge and we shot some stuff out there. And, you know, and then that was it. And then a week later, the record was starting to bubble, you know, like It Ain't Hard to Tell had come out, and it was starting to make some noise. And they called me and they said, you know, Nas loves the thing that you did for him. Is it possible you could do a video for It Ain't Hard to Tell? But we don't have no money. So I'm like, how is it possible? Y'all are Sony Music. How y'all not have no money? So I'm like, but I loved Nas so much, and I loved the record so much that I was like, yeah, let's do it, you know. So we were going to shoot in the bridge, but the bridge had some beef going on, and Nas said, nah, man, you know, I don't think we should shoot in the bridge. I don't think it's safe to shoot in the bridge, and I don't think we should shoot in the bridge. So I said, well, all right. So we ended up shooting in Lower East Side by where they shot this old movie, Wild Style. It's the band shell down by off of the East River in the Lower East Side, and in Coney Island. And we shot in Coney Island. And it was in one other location that we used. So that's where we shot that video. It Ain't Hard to Tell. And I think it was like an introduction. So, you know, we wanted to let people see who he was. You know, you can hear his words, but now you can see who this guy was and what he was bringing to, you know, to the table. And, you know, to me, you know, just the way he cares, you know, he just cares, you know, he don't have to put certain things, certain words in his music. He does it, and he cares about people. So I respect that, you know, that's cool.
And what about working on the Cream video for Wu Tang?
Yeah, Cream was a similar situation. I have been working with Prince Raheem, who was RZA, but he was like a party rapper, you know, when he first came out. And he said, you know, I'm working on a new project. I'll be back with some new stuff. I also had worked with the Genius, who is the Jizza. And the Genius was more like a party rapper as well. And so RZA came to me one day and was like, look, I got this new group called Wu Tang Clan. I didn't even understand what he was saying. Like, what are you talking about? Wu Tang Clan, what is that? And so he gave me this tape that he had done, and my man GB had directed for him. And it still had, like, you know how they have the time code on it, you know, on the bottom of the thing, like it wasn't finished yet. And so it was Protect Your Neck, and they weren't signed to no label or nothing. He was like, yo, this is it. And I'm like, there's mad people in this video. What is this? What's going on here? Like, who's the artist? He's like, that's it. It's a group. It's like, I was like, there's a lot of y'all. And you know, he says, yo, some of them is here. And I went out in my office, and they was all sitting out there drinking 40s. And I was like, yo, y'all can't come up here in the office drinking 40s. Yo, crazy, man. Like, the white people gonna throw me out of here, man. And they were like, my bad, son, my bad. You know, and so I played the video. I said, well, when you finish it, that's what I said to him. When you finish it, I'll play it. And so he says, you can play it just like that. I said, we got the time code on it. He was like, nah, just play it. Just play it. I said, all right. So we started playing it. And next thing you knew, they were buzzing. And then Loud Records signed them to a deal. And Loud Records called me and was like, what do you think? You know, and I was like, dope, sign them. I would have said they were dope anyway, even if I didn't like them. Like, if Black Man getting money, I would have said, yeah, go ahead, sign them. But, you know, they were, you know, it was something different, you know. And to be honest with you, everybody in the hood didn't get Wu Tang Clan at first, because they didn't understand, you know, like, they were like, what are these dudes talking about? First of all, it was 5%, and they were like, oh, this is that 5% type thing, you know. So people had negativity against that, and I was like, nah, they got something. And so it took a minute. So when I did Cream, I told RZA, I said, up to that point, all the videos they had done were shot in Staten Island. And I said, we're going to take it outside of Staten Island, because the rest of the city don't believe in this right here. So we got to go to Harlem. So I took it to like 135. We shot, I said, you're going to set up like right in front of Willie Burger, so Harlem cats could see, like, yo, they was in Harlem? You know, let's take it to Brooklyn. Let's take it to Times Square, so we can make it seem like y'all moving around. You're not just in Staten Island. And that's when I think the city, because all we knew at that time was our city. You know, we wasn't thinking about the rest of the world. We were just thinking about our city. So we got to get our city to get on it like that. And so, so we shot it. And I mean, the song was a bomb. You know, I knew that was a hit. So it took off. The song did its own thing, you know.
So, like, I seen, like, and I read numerous places that you kind of paved the way for Hype Williams. Like, how did that relationship come about? And, like, what exactly, like, at what exact point did you catch Hype in his career?
Hype came from a young lady that was working with me. And she, you know, we would get interns that would work with us. Me and my partner Lana, we had a company called Classic Concept Productions, and that was our film and video production company. And they were like, oh, this kid Hype, you know, it was just Hype. That's his name. There was no buzz or nothing about. And I was like, all right, no problem, just bring him on. And he started working with us on set, and he worked in the art department. So basically, like, the art department that we had, if we were shooting somewhere and let's say the walls were white and we wanted them to be red, we would send the art department in there, go paint the walls red or paint them blue or whatever it is. And, you know, and then move the furniture out so we can have the cameras in there. That's what the art department did. or if we needed to build a set, you know, let's say it's a graffiti backdrop or something like that, we would have them do that. And then we would bring the cameras in. So that's what the art department did. So he worked in the art department. And so, you know, just some kid, you know, that's in the beginning. And then he started talking to me and Lionel about directing videos, and he wanted to direct. And so we were like, all right, you know, you got a good eye, because I could tell by the way he treated the art that he had a good eye. And the colors and things like that he was messing around with. He wouldn't just, if I said paint it red, he would try to paint it different shades of red, not just red, you know. So he played around, he had creativity with it. And so I gave him a video to do for some cats from the Bronx called Strictly Roots. And the song was called Duck the Boys in Blue. And Hype doesn't mention that video, but that's his first video that he ever did. And because they wanted me to do it. And I was like, I got this kid Hype. He got a real good eye. And, you know, they were a little hard edged. And I said, Hype is going to make y'all hard edge, but he going to make it look different. He going to make it real cool, you know. And they were like, no, we want Ralph. We want you. I'm like, yo, trust me. You know, it's going to be fine. And he did the video for them. It came out great. They loved it. And then next thing you know, he started getting other videos. And, you know, he was working under us. And Hype is, you know, quite obviously one of the greatest music video directors of all time. And but in the beginning, the problem that Hype had, and still had to later, was that Hype would always go over budget. Like, so if we said we got $500, Hype would spend $600. And I'm like, yo, dog, you can't do that, because how people will get paid. You know, people got to get paid. You know, like, we got to pay the driver. We got to pay the people that bring the food. We got to pay the stylist. You got to pay. You using up all the money, bro. And he was like, I know. I said, nah, you can't do that. You know, so me and him would have these conversations about budgets all the time. And people who know the story of like Belly, that was one of the issues. You know, he went over budget, and I was like, he's been doing that from day one, you know. But, you know, creativity is incredible. His eye is incredible. You know, literally used to pick this kid up in my car, you know, on Linden Boulevard in Queens. You know, they all from the same area. Like, there's Tribe Called Quest, you know, 195 in Linden. You know, him and Irv Gotti and Damon John. They all were coming from the same area, all the same real creative space out there in Queens.
So now I see you do a lot of work at the Queens Public Library. More so, you want to like the giving back and educating the young people about, you know, like hip hop as a whole. What made you take that path? Is it the way hip hop's changed over time, and how this is not hip hop what we get now, and you kind of want to refresh people's memory?
The initial reason why was I needed to have better health insurance. And I needed a regular job to have better health insurance. That was really the real reason. And I said, okay, I can do this, but I got to have health insurance. And so they were like, no, you get health insurance. So I was like, okay, perfect. So you know, when I first got there, they wanted me to bring in, you know, celebrities and have people show up and, you know, and sign autographs and stuff like that. I said, nah, I want to tell the story of Queens, because we know the story of the Bronx, and but we don't really know the history of Queens hip hop from the beginning. And so I want to, you know, tell the story of Queens. I'm originally from Brooklyn, and then I moved to Queens. So I know my history in Queens, and nobody ever talked about it. Nobody ever talked about my history, even the history in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. So I said, look, let's get to this Queens story. So I started finding people that I knew that were there, you know, from before hip hop started, you know, to that the original guys, you know, like DJ Devon from Infinity Machine and Cypher Sound, the original Cypher Sound from these different crews, Disco Twins and all of these cats, and others from Queensbridge, you know, MC Shan talks about Jappy Jap and all of these people in his songs, you know. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, who is Jappy Jap? And I found Jappy Jap, you know, before Marley Marl, before, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And we started getting their stories and how it happened and what was happening, and name the spots, You know, where was y'all recording records at? Some of them weren't even recording records, but they was big, you know, in the hood, you know, in the parks, you know. And so that was the original, and still is the original idea of what I do at Queens Public Library. Like they have a title. My title is hip hop coordinator. So I do other things, like I do, you know, like a DJ 101 class for the kids. We bring in DJs from the area to work with the kids. And the thing about Queens is that Queens is so diverse. You have a lot of different areas, like, you know, like you be in Flushing, it's all Asian. So you got to be able to communicate with the Asian kids in Flushing. You got to be able to communicate with the, you know, the African-American kids in Jamaica and in the Bridge. Got to be able to communicate in Jackson Heights and Corona with the South American folks, you know, Indian people, you know, it's all different types of people. So you got to make it work for each one of those areas, because everybody might not quite understand. And the library especially in like Jackson Heights or Corona, like Mexican and South American, and they come with their whole family. Like grandma comes, the parents, the little kids, they all come. You work in the schools, right? So you work in schools, so you know how they move. You know what I'm saying? And so it's, you know, it's a family thing in those areas. So you got to understand culture as well, everybody's culture, when you presenting these things. And so it's interesting. I learn a lot, you know, from meeting different people, besides doing what I do. You know, like last week we had a young lady come on she wrote a book called The Mother Lode, and it was 100 women that made hip hop. And she's from Queens. And as a kid, she used to go to the St. Albans Library, which is right down the block from where Hype grew up at, right across the street from Q-Tip and Fife. And she used to go there every day. And that's in fact, that's where the Fife Dog Way is. That's right there, right in front of Fife Dog Way, you know, where the murals at, you know, that, you know, Tribe has, you know. So Queens is cool. You know, my history with Russell Simmons and Run DMC, you know, Russell was a promoter. He was giving parties, you know, back then. You know, he wasn't, you know, a music producer. He wasn't any of that. You know, he was just giving parties and figured something out and started going to the Bronx and started going to the Fever and met Curtis Blow and started hanging uptown and saw what was happening uptown and just kind of brought some of that energy back to Queens. And Queens kind of figured out what they wanted to do with it. And this comes, you know, a Davey DMX and a Run DMC and a Spider D and, you know, 50 and Nas and the list just Tribe and the list just go Pharoah Monch, you know, all these Organized Confusion, all these incredible artists that are incredible out of Queens. And Nikki, you know, Nikki used to be on the corner in the mall, you know, just rapping, you know, and, you know, it's a lot of successful artists out of Queens, and we just want to tell their story.
Uncle, I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.